changeover, so some things got dropped, misunderstood or misinterpreted it, and I finally cleaned all that up right now. So we're in a good space now. But that money to finish, mainly being the dirt roads we're doing right now, I think we need, I think it was another $500,000 to finish off the current dirt road list that we had initially coming out of 2014 SPLOST. And also, again, this comes with the inflation costs that you can never predict. So we might have put 10 roads in there for 2014, but wait to do them 2023, of course, that's not going to cover it anyway. So that's another problem we have right now. And this is why, moving forward, I want to make sure that we can do as much as we can do with this money as early as soon as possible. I don't want to, in the past, we've kind of let it collect and wait. I used 2014, I think it was that a 5-year SPLOST? You might remember. I think it was 5 year. We let it collect, and we didn't really mess with it. And then we came back and tried to spend it. And by that time, you got inflation, you got other things happening, it can't cover what it's supposed to cover. So this way, I want to hit everything yearly and try to earmark everything that's listed on here yearly and monthly in some cases, just so we're keeping up with what we're saying, if that makes sense.
It does, but I had a few question marks come across my mind with regard to that, because generally the money is not collected all at one time. It's collected as the years go on, and then it is meted out as is in the account. So if it's not there, then it can't be spent. Yes. But in this case, you're saying that there's monies that are going to be taken out of the 2023 SPLOST that may have been earmarked for certain projects, plans.
Well, not earmarked, because so you look at the resolution, it just roads and streets.
Okay, so
it's that 5.2.
So it could be done that way. I see.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Just making sure that we don't.
Oh no, we checked it, Mr. Mayor. But the main point, Mr. Mayor, I'm going back to the top of the slide there. You see it says $320K a month. It could be high as $375 a month. So every month we're going to have that money to work with, and every month I want to apply that to earmark that to something. So if we just, I'm using this FY25 right now. We got 7 months left. I think 7 months left. So you're thinking that's, I say, close to $2 million. So each month we should be addressing the shortfall in the dirt roads, the 2 vehicles of $44,000 a piece for community improvement and public works, and the park funding was in the resolution for $300,000. So that would probably be close to the end of the calendar year that we would have that money collected. So if we do it this way, and like I say, we stay consistent, then all that money is having an immediate impact pretty much every month, versus right now it's not, because we have been waiting, to do stuff, trying to figure out the best scheme or the best way to approach stuff. This way we're doing something every month. And I'll kind of get into that more in detail as we go up through the years.
I only smile because I know you're trying to figure out what it is that I'm thinking. But what I was thinking about, every time this commission changes,
yeah, it's a change too.
And so and so the priorities change. We had priority streets, priority roads, and then people came back saying they wanted certain roads redone or done after we'd already sat together and talked about robotics being the thing that we were going to utilize to do it. Then we come back again, and then there'll be roads requested. Let's change this road. Let's do this. So that's why I'm sitting here kind of smiling, because I think determining now the budget, the next commission will come in at the end of the year. And so we got, by January, we'll be starting all over again with a whole new group of people, if not the same people, but still with a different mindset.
So I think with that, Mr. Mayor, so we have robotics. We didn't have robotics, at least when I got here. We didn't have it then. And
we had the
a different version, I guess.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
because we were told that there were certain things that could determine what roads need to be addressed first. That made it equal across the board, rather than us choosing from the dais our roads because it's my district kind of thing. It was more or less the city and how those particular roads need to be addressed before something caves in, falls in, or we're going to struggle. And so, then here you are trying to, because we've had, if not 2, I know we had at least 2 roads that have caved in.
Yes.
And one was on Plant, the other one was on City Boulevard. And so when we had those cave-ins, that made us have some difficulties. And that's why I was asking the question, are we going to keep flipping and switching? Because we'll make the plan. And then after the plan has been made, then we alter the plan. And you said something to the effect that the commission itself may, well, y'all look at it and see what you want to do. And every time we do that, it changes.
Well, great point, Mr. Mayor. So I can't talk on what might happen. I know right now we have a criteria for scoring the roads, and the worst roads first. That also is going to save us money, because if we jump around any other kind of way and we don't repair the worst roads first, eventually over time, 10 years from now, we're working on the best roads. Not so worst roads, and the money will go much farther. So hopefully, whatever commission comes on or this commission stays, they have that strategic vision to understand it's about, the long-term battle with the whole city, because every time we deviate or jump from place to place, we spend more money. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we cross it, Mr. Mayor. Hopefully,
Yes,
I think,
sir.
like I
I've
said,
crossed it with y'all and back over again, and then right back again.
yes,
We've had discussions on spot roads, and then full
Yeah.
roads, and robotics and various other things.
Yeah.
And then people will come in advocating for their street or their group or their district or their this, and we would alter it to accommodate based on the commission. And so I just wanted to say I appreciate you doing what you're doing, but even in this educational moment, we still have to deal with what's going to come up.
but the numbers don't lie, Mr. Mayor. So in the last 2 years, I think we've done 27 roads, and that's more than the previous 10. So if we just get on track, stay on track, then everybody wins.
Yes, sir.
And everybody wins that way. We got 458 roads. I mean, it'll come down to. So somebody's road not gonna get done before somebody else's. No way around that. But Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna just jump back to where I was. You got any more questions, Mr. Mayor?
I do not.
Okay. So, so once we start calendar year 2026 through calendar year 2027, we would do the remaining 4 million that we left over for the roads and streets, and we will cover another set of roads. And I'll show you how this works in the end. So out of that 4 million, because now you gotta think about it, we'll be addressing lesser roads. So we should, in theory, get more roads done with that $4 million. And that list will be based off of the current robotics list. So right now, I'm anticipating that's about 10 to 12 roads. Because once again, we've done some of the worst roads first, and we'll be knocking these roads out too. And that'll probably be the first half of 26 through 27. And then too, we do the demolition funding, we'll collect that. That's about $300,000. And then we'll hit Public Works and Police Department with vehicles at the end of the year, end of going into 2027, if that makes sense. And again, I'm saying this now because we need to go ahead and build the roads out like right now, have all the data collected right now, have everything lined up right now, so when the time comes, we can just address it. And we should have to keep communicating and talking about anything, because we have a priorities list and we have a vision, we have a strategy. Next, Mr. Mayor, starting calendar year 2027 to calendar year 2028, we'll take the other $4 million collected for that year, and that'll be our other infrastructure needs. That's buildings, auditoriums, certain things like that. Completing the fleet, with vehicles, Public Works, Fire Department, Police Department. By that time, if everything goes right and we are able to buy vehicles when we have them available to us, we should have all our fleet at least 85% new by that point in time. And that's like, 27 through 28. The good thing about this year is that's when the TIA projects kick in. So those 10 streets we had on TIA project, they would kick in the same amount of time. So in theory, for the next 3 years, we'll be working on streets and roads for 3 years straight. And then on theory, because y'all made the adjustment rate for the utilities, we'll gain access to more grant money for the utilities and work on those as well, and not to pull that same money from the general fund. So in theory, everything is working much faster, going farther than it ever has before, if we stick with the plan. And like I say, then the residents, the citizens can see, multiple streets getting done at the same time. Also, if you look at 2027, let me go back to this year. So the overpass is scheduled to begin around September through January on Ozzie Davis. As you remember, they said they would do Ozzie Davis for us as well. So that will be happening. There are some connected streets that they're gonna take care of as far as just pavement. They already did, I think it's Augusta Street, but they're gonna have to do, and this is more in the county, those other streets to get around the city to bypass that intersection for the overpass. So there's some other streets that will be getting done with GDOT's money, which is always a great thing. To include Ozzie Davis coming from Plant Avenue being resurfaced and utilities being done. So all this can be happening at the same time for the next 3 years. If we stick with the plan and stick with our priorities. I want to kind of brief this right now, and I try to keep it as simple as possible. I didn't put the actual vehicles in here or the actual amounts right now because that could be subject to change later on. But I did want to kind of give the commission the concept because my team, my staff, work on this for a long time now, and we feel like, you know, regardless who comes in, when you get in here, at least you can see the plan, and this does align with the city 10-year plan as well. So I'll pause there if any questions on that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Commissioner, have any questions of the city manager? District 3. Have any questions?
Not about that item, no.
And do you have any questions? Okay, everybody's good. Okay. So the Commissioner Felder wanted to speak to a couple of things. Do you want to mention what you got there?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. This going back to my original question regarding agenda items. I do recall that as a commission, we did discuss the preparation it takes to put together this agenda and how it's not advantageous for us as a commission to send items at the last minute when the agenda has already been made out. We agreed to that well over a year ago. And respectfully, I did honor that. And I've sent you items that I would like to discuss and bring forth to the community's attention that I would have liked to see on the agenda. And those items, for whatever reason, I'm not sure, they never seem to make it. And I just need clarification to understand why.
Okay, so would you just state those agenda items that you were making mention of?
Sure. There was a letter that I sent to you from a citizen regarding trailers and zoning. I did not expect that to be put on the agenda, but in the email, you mentioned that this would be added to the agenda. So I was expecting that. Also, back in May, I actually provided you a list, I think maybe 3 or 4 items that I would have liked to add to the agenda for this month's meeting, and those items never made it to the agenda.
So could you clarify what those items might be for us?
I don't recall them exactly, but I do know that one of them was regarding an honors policy.
Mm-hmm. So you sent me, they were asking April Commission, this is why I'm confused if you asking. I answered those questions.
Sir, excuse me?
I answered those questions, and I don't see where you said you on the agenda. I just answered the questions for you. So
I provided you a list of items.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I got it right here. You asked me, have dirt roads been paved? If not, which ones are left to be paved? In what district?
No, sir, that's not what I was referring to.
Oh, well, the one question you just missed is on here too. It's in that group of questions.
So what I want to do here for our next meeting, if there are some items that commission would like to have on the agenda, that we have those given to all of us so we can see them. So when they come on the agenda, because we're going to end up having to discuss them anyway,
Okay.
as opposed to what I'm getting here. Because what I was trying to make sure we don't do, when I first came in, this is how we did it. It was the city manager and the mayor
Yes,
that made the
that's
agenda.
the charter says that.
So when a commissioner needed something, they would talk to me or talk to the city manager or both, and then we would put or determine what was going on the agenda based on whether we could answer that question ourselves with the research that we'd already done versus a meeting, because we had the first meeting in 2022 when the commission first came in, the Bennett Felder portion of our commission came in. One of our commissioners decided to put something in the last call, and they were going to vote on it. And they couldn't vote on that because it was not a part of an agenda item. It was not discussed in the work session. and it had not been approved. So I called it down. I gavelled it down. Then I tried to share with them, make sure you let me know, because the opportunities are always good to get up and make a presentation, but we do need to know in time enough, place it on the agenda, and have some research done so that when it comes in, it hits not only our workbooks, but also, because if it's on here, it has to have working material behind it. It can't just be an item or something that someone mentions. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we don't come in without research being done. That research has to be done behind every one of these items. Therefore, you have the item, you have all of the supporting details that come behind that item. And I know that Commissioner is saying, I had some items I want to bring to the commission. If that be the case, and I know it is, based on the conversation, we need to make sure that we have our information based on the information that's been requested. I do know the letter she made mention of, I saw it come through the email, I read it. I know that that was a conversation, but she did not ask for that to be on the agenda, and she said that just then. She said, I didn't ask for it to be on the agenda, but you said it may appear on the agenda, is what she said. So what I'm making sure of, being that it's the meeting I run on a Tuesday, the meeting you run is on the Monday. That's the work session. So that information has to go through us before we even put it on there. It has to be vetted. It has to be checked. Because otherwise it could be something someone's just using as politics. Could be something that's used as speech writing or making. And of course, our decorum says we're not to be doing those kinds of things, which I saw it almost happen today with a guest. So what we're trying to do is make sure we don't play into this back and forth. That's not what we're here for. If there's an item to be brought up, that item needs to be brought, and it needs to be stated. It needs to be specific. It can't be a generality. It has to be something that we can deal with. Sometimes there are things that are brought to us that are outside of our auspices. We do not have power over certain things. And so individuals can bring information as far as conversation, but it's not of any use to us when we cannot vote on it. So my goal here, and has been since I've been here, has been to make sure the meetings run with as much smoothness as possible, even though there may be a time where there may be a disagreement. But there's nothing wrong with a disagreement, because that's how we grow. That's how we become the commission we need to be. But at the same time, it needs not be adversarial, controversial fighting amongst ourselves, because we're the decision makers. And if we don't make those decisions as a team, then we're sitting here just yelling back and forth at each other, proving out you're not who you say you are, you're not what you ought to be. That's not what we're here for. The goal here is to do the business of the city and to make sure that the areas in our community are all dealt with, not just one district, not just two districts, but the entire city is dealt with, and dealt with in an integral and honest manner. So when individuals go out and make up things about one commissioner or the mayor or whatever and put it out there, well, I mean, you can sound the board and sound as they say, you ring the bell, you can't unring it. And some people do those things just for their own personal attention. But when we're doing that, we're bringing negativism to our own house. And that's not what we're here for. The Bible says that a wise woman, she builds her house up. But a foolish woman, she tears it down with her own hands. Our job is not to tear down our city. It is not our job to tear up our people. So when it comes down to it, we need to make sure that we do things according to how charter is written. Now, we say we know what the charter says, but we don't always operate accordingly. And so when I say that, most of these things, if I know them, if I have had opportunity, it's not about a blame game. It's not about proving you don't know what you're doing or you didn't do what you were supposed to do. It's about making sure that when we come before the people, that we are one team, one body, speaking on the same talk. Now, we may not always agree with everything, but when we come before the people, all they need is to see that there is a weakness somewhere, and they'll play it. They'll play it. And they can see where there's disunity. They can see when there's some form of a disparity between the people amongst the group. So that's not our goal. Never been my goal. Now, I know my goal has been to bridge sides. I'm not on any team Because a bridge, it gets walked on by everybody or driven over by everybody. But at the end of the day, once that bridge, if it falls apart, that infrastructure is gone, there's no crossing. And if we're gonna keep holes in the road, if we're gonna keep killing each other, then it's not gonna happen. So it sounds like we are trying our best to prove a point. And my goal here is to say, okay, let's get it together, do what we're supposed to do, get the work done, and move forward. So where we are now, there are no specific items. She did not have a specific item to be dealt with today. She said, I have some items, but I can't think of them right now. So that means I need to get those items at the end of the meeting. I don't know what you have in your email, but I need to get with both of you, and we need to get this on paper so that when we talk to the clerk, she has that information. We don't need to keep bombarding her with things that are not on the list, and then here we are sitting without the information, and we can't make any decisions. There's nothing you can do if you don't have the information. So what we're going to have to do is make sure that that information is presented. It needs to go forward, and I need to see that information. You're not the mayor, you're the city manager. If it deals with city manager stuff, I understand that. But when it comes down to these meetings, that's me. So that's why I want to make sure that I know what's being said, what's going to be done before we do it. We don't just come in here willy-nilly and create an atmosphere of discontent. So I appreciate everybody giving their information, but at the same time, we need to make sure we do it accordingly. And that level for me, I have the right to either say, yes, you may speak, no, you can't speak, this and that. But when it comes down to it, when the city manager opens his mouth and says, these are the roles we want to cover, we need to make sure that that's within keeping with what we said we were going to do. I know you've already said, these are the roles, this is the stuff, these are the things that have been outlined. That's good. That's very good. But I do want to make sure that I hear before I leave this building this day, those items. I want to have that information before I go home. And I want that listed for me, and every piece that goes with that, we'll get it together, but it's not going to be in the clerk's hand tonight. I just need to see it for me. And then by the time we have another meeting, then those things that we determine as a group will be on the agenda, will come to the agenda. Again, I'll look to the city attorney, and the city attorney, I'm not sure, but you can prove to me or tell me if I'm wrong or right, but the agenda is generally dealt with or created by the city manager and the mayor. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So when an item is needed to be dealt with before it comes to the commission, I need to have seen that.
Yes, all items that are expected to be discussed at the work session or regular meeting should be published in advance. And all commissioners, as you said, you get a workbook, I think on Thursdays. And if you see that there's an item that you wanted to be on the agenda that's not there, then you would need to contact the mayor or the city manager and say, I don't see my item on the agenda. And would you please add it? When we come to a meeting like we're in this particular setting, it's really too late to add an item then, because the Open Meetings Act, the Georgia Open Meetings Act, requires that all items are expected to come before the commission for discussion must be published in advance. And the only way you can add an item is if it's an emergency, some exigent circumstance that requires you deal with it after the agenda was published. But yeah, to get back to your point, yes, the mayor and the city manager are in charge of setting the agenda, and those items need to be brought to one of your attentions before the meeting. And again, I think the clerk normally publishes the workbook or prepares the workbook on Thursday, so that's when everybody needs to pay particular attention to what's on the agenda, and if something is missing, bring it to the manager's attention.
So this is why I made the comment, because before, this has happened before, it's not a new thing. It's just different people do different things at different times, and it may be a different face doing it, but it's the same event. And until we address it as we should, then it will continue. And I find that, if you don't nip things in buds quickly, they grow and they become problematic later on. And that's one of the problems I'm hearing, is that we're having similarities of past events that we had already dealt with that were handled. And now we're back at the same square one. I started to say something like that. But my thinking is that we have to make sure that we think it through before we do this kind of thing in the public view. That should have come to me beforehand. That should have been something I dealt with prior to. Otherwise, what we're going to keep doing is the same thing. We'll wait till we get to the meeting and then we'll throw it out there. And I'm not doing that one. I'm not doing that one. So we've covered the mosquito trucks and everything else. So now we're at privilege license?
Correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor, point of clarification.
You
before
can
we
ask a question.
proceed, yes. So I just want to be clear that, again, we did have this discussion about agenda items, and I do recall everything that you stated, but also this commission, this mayor and commission and city manager has not always followed that protocol when it has come to items being added to the agenda. What you requested previously about the process and how these items, should come forth to you, I did that multiple times. I did that. And those items, for whatever reason, were not added to the agenda. And these were items that were not controversial, but these were items that the community needed to be aware of and to be addressed. For example, an honors policy. Why doesn't the city of Waycross have an honors policy? We have lost 2 commissioners in less than a year. And there was a lot of concern, for lack of a better term, about what was being done to honor one commissioner over another. If we had an honors policy in place, that would not be an issue.
So I understand what you're saying, Commissioner, but back to what I was saying beforehand, if there's an honors policy that needs to be put in place, it can't just all of a sudden appear. There are several other
Mayor,
things
and
that...
you're correct. I agree. You are
Right.
correct.
So
I
that
gave
needs-
that information.
I'll
I sent
give
it
it back
to
to
the
you.
city manager
I
well in
understand.
advance, so it could have been researched, and it could have been brought before the commission in decency and in order according to the decorum. I did that, Mayor. Yes, I did.
I understand it. So what I'm going to say here, we will deal with any of those areas or concerns. As I said, I'll get that list of those things, as I said earlier, and then we'll go through that. Otherwise, it's just a conversation, and it's not going to come to any kind of fruitfulness. So what we're trying our best to do at this particular juncture is make sure that we mitigate that problem so that it won't be a problem again. Sending it to the city manager is fine, but I will have to look at those things and make sure that what we're talking about fits what we do here. And I won't go any further than this. We'll deal with our conversation there after this meeting. I have another meeting at 7, which of course is in 10 minutes. But what I need to do is move this forward. You need to go ahead and do whatever you need to do here, and then I'll handle this other process after this meeting.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, we did leave one item off the agenda. It was not on the slides. It's on the agenda before you. The grant contract that we mentioned before.
And this was when the lady came making a presentation?
Yes, and I went back and looked at the meeting, and though I don't think we got a true concession. We got ahead now that meeting. I want to ask the commission now.
We got a consensus.
Got a concession?
that night. We did.
Okay. So I'd like to go ahead and move forward with that contract.
That's
Okay,
fine.
making sure. Okay. That includes agenda items, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, we have no privilege license renewals. We have 2 privilege license for beer and wine and beer, wine, and liquor package sales. We have no proposed ordinances. We're going to have 4 now, right? 6 proposed resolutions. And with that, Mr. Mayor, if anybody has any questions on the resolution, if not, we can move into the city attorney's report.
Any questions about anything on the agenda? Hearing none.
I don't have a report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. City manager's report.
City report, Mr. Mayor. And we get this report every day, Mr. Mayor, it goes out. Just want to make it for the citizens. This is where the team was today as far as infrastructure. engineering. These are the roads and designs on the water and sewer projects. The paving list, currently ongoing, Mr. Mayor, road paving. Dirt roads, and then the street pavements down at the bottom. Most of them are complete. I think we got, as you see there, we have Garton left to do and Parkway Drive. And this is the budget, Mr. Mayor. There was a comment made about not understanding what the budget is. This is a monthly report. It will always be a month behind because we have to reconsolidate all the accounts. So this is reflecting the month of April. So later this month you should see, this is reflecting the month of March. Later this month you see the month of April. But this does show all our spending for the month. So, and that's all our major accounts. And that's all I have this time for my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, very good. And I understand that we're gonna need to do an executive session? Is this for property?
For property, Mr. Mayor, yes.
Before we go into executive session, I do want to make you all aware that the State of the City address will be given this coming Thursday at noon. We're going to invite everyone to come to the meeting. It starts at noon, but we do want you to get in a little bit early. We want you to start coming in about 11:30, and particularly those persons who are going to be functionaries and participants on the program. You'll need to be here early. And I say here, but I'm talking about the city auditorium, which is 865 Pendleton Street. So those persons who are coming in, please, please, please do that. There will be people coming from all over the state. We do want you to be aware that you'll be interacting with various people. So just come on in, enjoy the moment, and lunch is on us, so you can come in and enjoy the meal. And I'd like to sit down and talk with some of you. If you have questions or comments or concerns, feel free to come up to me, talk to me about anything. That's what I do. And I would encourage that opportunity. And now what I will do, because I know we got to move into this executive session, I know I got another meeting, so I'm going to entertain a motion to go into executive session regarding property.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion from our Commissioner Nelson regarding going into executive session on property. Is there a second?
Secondly, sir.
We have a second from our Commissioner Roberts. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. We're in executive session. Thank you, everyone, for showing up, and have a great day.